Let's find out, where did 80-10-10 come from? So the concept of 80-10-10 originated with a guy named Nathan Pritikin. Nathan Pritikin had heart disease in the 1950s. He did research on primitive cultures and people who lived a long time where there was no heart disease, and found that they all ate a similar diet, which was about 80% carbohydrate, 10% fat, and 10% protein. This is the diet of the Tarahumara Indians in Mexico, the Okinawans, tribes in Africa, and he realized he cured himself of his own heart disease with this, and he funded a lot of research as well. So here's an article from Nathan Pritikin called High Carbohydrate Diets Maligned and Misunderstood. This was published in the Journal of Applied Nutrition in 1976. And when we scroll down, we see he's talking about the Tarahumara Indians here, and they're thin, they're super athletes, they're long distance runners who can run hundreds of miles at a time. They've got striking longevity and no heart disease, no cancer, no diabetes really to speak of. And down here it says the Tarahumara diet consists of 10% protein, 10% fat, and 80% complex carbohydrate. It's comprised of corn, peas, beans, squash, various other native plants and fruits. So here's an early mention of the 80-10-10 concept in the medical literature. There's probably some even before that, but this is when Doug Graham was in high school. The diets of Pritikin, of John McDougall, of Dean Ornish, of Caldwell Esselstyn, the Campbell diet, these are all essentially 80% carbohydrate diets. One thing I find interesting is that the genetically closest Indian tribe to the Tarahumara are the Pima Indians, and they split off from each other about 400 years ago. The Pima Indians eat the standard American diet. They are some of the least healthy people on the planet, awful obesity, diabetes, heart disease, you name it. So the food makes a difference, a lot bigger difference than the genetics. The bottom line take-home message is that Colin Campbell does not endorse Doug Graham. He doesn't endorse his diet. He doesn't endorse the raw food diet. And these attempts to make it look like Doug and Colin are old buddies and that Colin somehow, is endorsing Doug's diet, that's a con. Just another con. Remember that when you're reading this guy's work.